There he
goes.
He's using all the track and a teeny weeny bit more. He's coming now round 2 Panasonic to the end of this lap, using all the width of the track, all the grip. Pipo Durrani, this could be a bit of a go for glory. Can Thomas Laurent, meanwhile, who's on track as well and going quickly, can he respond? He's not as quick as Durrani on this. Down he comes. The clock has run down. This will be the final opportunity for Team BBT. What can he pull out the bag? 132.316, the best for him. 132.259. It's a 132.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic finish from Pipo Durrani on the final lap of qualifying in this 15-minute session for the LMP2 and LMP3s in this second round of the Asian Le Mans Series. What a finish. 20.585 in Sector 1, 27.520 in Sector 2, and a 132.102, which once again is not that far off the lap record for the entire track.
And it's freezing cold. We shouldn't forget that. That is a major, major factor. That was talent in a box there from Pipo Durrani. Cracking lap from him.
159.
It looked done there for the Jackie Chan DC Racing team. Thomas Laurent was sent to try to respond to that. It was just a little too late. So they will still be on the front row of the grid. There's Davide Rizzo. Thumbs up from him. The team are delighted with that. But it will be Team BBT taking their first ever LMP2 pole position. That'll be utter delight for the entire squad, and none more so than Anthony Liu. And there's the Marta Ferrari there in the black jackets, not with the Italian stripes, but the other black jackets. Marta Ferrari, the AF Corsa team principal, his team handling this effort. That's the biggest headline so far for this team in LMP2.
Very, very happy with that one. And
shouldn't forget, by the way, LMP3 meanwhile.
Josh Burdon in KCMG, that number 18 car that was doing so well so far this season, has already topped the session there with a 135.255. He'll be followed by Ye Hong Lee in the Taiwan Beer GH Motorsport team.
And actually, that we were talking about Rick Breukers trying to get ahead of Josh Burdon on the overall timing and scoring. In fact, it went the other way. Josh pulled away a little, and at the end, his advantage over Ye Hong Lee in the Taiwan Beer GH Motorsport 11 was over a second. A great run as well there from Josh, his second consecutive pole position. But the story
is in that car, that orange and yellow BBT. Ligier JSP2 has absolutely put in the most flying sector times, the most flying lap.
It's a car that knows its way around here. It's raced it before in the World Endurance Championship.
As you said, this was actually the car that set the lap record at Fuji.
And it's also a team that Pipo Durrani knows well. Pipo knows how to win. He knows how to put cars on pole position. But it does the heart good to see a team doing what this series is designed to do and step up through the order. They stepped up to LMP2 this season, and they've produced the guts here today. That's a cracking run from Team BBT.
Now, I'm assuming psychologically, of course, that's got to be a massive blow or massive boost for Team BBT, but also for Jackie Chan DC Racing. They were expecting it. Thomas Laurent was very fast at the first half of that session, and so, in fact, was Jasmine Jafal.
I think it's very clear. They thought they'd done enough. They were wrong, and it's this man, Pipo Durrani, Brazilian driver, Jose Felipe Durrani.
Has to say, though, a little bit harsh in being wrong, because it was the last stretch in the last second on the home straight that did it.
But we saw it. Jackie Chan DC Racing tried to respond to that.
Right.
Thomas Laurent, but just a little too late, and he couldn't produce that first lap pace, and that was the disadvantage he had. He was going out, as we heard earlier, on relatively cold tyres. As soon as that car stops rolling, you're going to start to lose the heat in those tyres, and there's not enough time to get the tyres back into a tyre oven and make a big difference. So the difference in lap time will it be? You had, not quite literally on fire, Pipo Durrani against Thomas Laurent, having to remotivate himself, refocus, and find what grip he could. Great session there from BBT, and Josh Burdon as well. A cracking run from Josh Burdon.
Well, just to go
pole setters.
Just to go through them, I said Pipo Durrani and BBT in the LMP2 class up front, both the Jackie Chan DC Racing Orica 05s after that in second and third. Eurasia Motorsport in fourth with Marco Asma. That was a good time, 133.610. And then after that would be ARC Bratislava. This is the LMP2 class, of course, from Rick Breukers. And Algarve Pro Racing in the end never really got started in that qualifying session with a 142.363. They're going to be starting at the back of that class. Meanwhile, as you pointed out, KCMG again with another fantastic run in that Ligier GSP3. After them, in second spot in the LMP3 class would be Taiwan Beer GH Motorsport. Win Motorsport with Richard Bradley behind the wheel in third. Viper Nisa Racing with James Winslow in fourth. Jackie Chan's Guy Cosmo in fifth. And TKS Shinyo Sanyo with the Ginetta LMP3 in sixth. Very, very good session indeed, and if you had to break it down, as you said, it was that Sector 1 in the end that really did make the difference, but not many of these drivers faced too much traffic.
No, and to put a cap on that lap, it was two purple sectors, Sectors 1 and Sector 2, almost a tenth of a second in both for Pipo Durrani. That's why he sits there at the top of the list. He lost about a tenth in Sector 3, but just needed that single tenth to actually overhaul the Thomas Laurent pedalled Orica 05, the number 8 car from Jackie Chan DC Racing. Well, it's going to be the GT session in just a few minutes' time.
That's right, just over 5 minutes. That'll be starting up. The GT cars will be out on track. That's going to be interesting to see exactly whether there's going to be just as close competition as we've seen in the LMP2 and LMP3. But of course, as we were talking about earlier, there is going to be a different strategy for the race itself. Pole position is great. There is the psychological difference as well. And of course, this means that for BBT that their car is working absolutely perfectly. What you're seeing is those cars, that's Josh Burdon's KCMG, all in Parc Fermé, all off for scrutineering, as you'd expect from race control. Very strict regulations. And in terms of race limits, in terms of cars staying on the black stuff, was everybody on point there?
We had a couple of laps that were removed. The number 11 car lost a lap. I think I saw the number 65 car being pinged as well, but it was relatively clean and tidy. Not a lot for the race control to do. But we're going to be taking a look back at the highlights from qualifying, and there were plenty there, weren't there? Freezing cold track, there it is. It looked a little frigid around the mountains, doesn't it? We've not seen Fuji-san in several days, and it's all
it's an epic track, though.
It's a fabulous track. The first out of the blocks was indeed the number 37, Team BBT, Ligier, with Pipo Durrani at the wheel.
Under the guidance of closing in on the ranks, but as you said, he's fast enough to actually break up. He's ahead right now overall, ahead of Rick
BBT. There it is.
There it is, that number 37 car.
Pipo Durrani is pressurising the overall lead here. It is under, and there is flaming from both sides there. The Nissan V8 toward the Algarve Pro, the number 25 car, but the 37 is pushing hard. But it was going to be the story at the end of this session with Pipo Durrani and that fabulous looking Team BBT car versus Thomas Laurent in the equally pretty number 8. 132.316 the best for him, but 132.259. It's a 132.1.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic finish from Pipo Durrani on the final lap of. Well, that really was right at the end of the session. To win that pole position is going to mean a lot for the young Brazilian, and as you can see there, the GT classes getting ready for their qualifying session. That's going to be happening in just a bit, and there is that beautiful Graham Ferrari 488 GTB, the first time we're seeing it in the Asian Le Mans Series this year.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Indeed it is, and it's going to be interesting to see just how that one plans out. They have been winding their way into this.
And we're going to be going down to the pits right now. Nadia has Pipo Durrani, the young Brazilian that has claimed pole position. Let's hear from him.
Yes, the man of the hour, Pipo Durrani. So you clocked in the fastest lap, but that was a last-minute cut there. Tell us about that.
Yeah, you know, it was tight at the end. We tried to do a different strategy to go out on used tires and bring up the temperature and then stop for the new tires, but it was really short, you know, the laps I had in the end to bring the temperature of the tires up as it's really cold. I made one mistake and then I got traffic in the other lap, and then in the last minute we saw ourselves with one lap to go and still not on pole. But everything worked perfectly. We managed to get pole on the last lap. But I just want to thank my team. You know, it's the first time we're racing together. Now, obviously, only our second race together, and what a fantastic job they've done. My engineer, Gabriele, and the entire team, it's doing a great job. So, yeah, there's a lot to look forward to, our first pole together, and I'm looking forward for the race tomorrow.
A great way to be starting off tomorrow. This was 15 minutes, repeating that 4 hours tomorrow. How big of a difference does that make?
There is a lot of difference, you know. Endurance racing is not only about putting fast lap, it's about being constantly fast and sometimes even avoiding mistakes and problems. So I think we've got a good car, we've got a great team. I think we have a very reliable package. So I hope that we can bring this car all the way to the end of the race. No mistakes, and we'll see where we finish.
All the best tomorrow, and congratulations on the pole position today. So that was Pipo Durrani. Back up to the commentary box.
Well, it is, as Pipo says, a new team. He's seen major success with established teams, but there's something about those milestones, Jivan, with a new team coming together that means so very much about motivating the guys to push forward.
Well, I do have to say one thing, and just to inform you, the pit lane is now open for the GT qualifying. We'll be getting to that in a second, but what a down-to-earth 24-year-old Brazilian Pipo Durrani is.
He is a man, you know, wise way beyond his years, a very gentle soul as well. I've had some pretty deep conversations with young Pipo down through the years in the WC over the last couple of seasons, and one of the nicest guys in the paddock. Fabulous individual.
But he's also got that entire team ethic sorted out. One of the first people he thanked in that interview with Nadia just now was his team. It's great to, and also made that difference between qualifying and the main race. It's not just about putting in fast laps. It's not just about the setup. There's real teamwork that's going to be needed tomorrow between the three drivers, of course. In qualifying, you get to see the fastest drivers come out. In the race day, it is a combination of all three.
You know, he's absolutely right. You're spot on. This is a pure team sport, not just the compromise that has to be made between the 2 or 3 drivers, depending on how the guys have put these teams together, but also the way that you have to listen to the team management, the engineer, not to tell you how to drive the car, as you'll hear in some other forms of motorsport, but just feeding back the kind of information he needs to make the decisions when to push, how to push. And then when it comes to pit stop time, you know, this is not the kind of discipline in motorsport where you can throw 30 people at the car. This is a small number of guys in a kind of balletic form getting the job done, and it's a fabulous thing to watch, and all the teams do it differently. First out onto track in the GT session is the Jiangxi Racing team at the fabulous green
Massimiliano Visa, in fact.
Yeah, it's the operatic V10 in the back of this car.
I'm just in awe of your choice of words when it comes down to it, Graham. It's fantastic. But it's true. It's absolutely spot on.
It's the kind of thing, you know what, you'd go to a gig just to listen to that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, these are the best cars in the world in terms of road production cars, of course, and I think a lot of them, it's for a lot of people that are joining endurance racing for the first time, they're going to be thinking, how are these cars looking so slow compared to LMP2 and LMP3? A lot of differences, obviously, but these are still very, very fast.
Number one, lots of aerodynamics on that car. It doesn't compare to the kind of aerodynamics you can deploy with a prototype car, which means that they're the quicker through the turns. But what you'll see when we get to racing conditions tomorrow, in a straight line, you will see P2 cars going by these GT cars, but towards the end of the straight, you're going to see the GT cars catching them back up again. That's a glorious 5-litre V10 in the back of the Audi. It's just absolutely wonderful stuff. Jiangxi Racing team coming round to start their first lap. But let's go back down to pit lane. And the other pole sitter from that session, that's Josh Burdon, young Australian, double pole sitter now in Asia Le Mans Series, down there with Nadia.
Yes, with Team KCMG now, Josh Burdon, a familiar face. The last time you also made pole position, and again this time. How do you feel, and what do you think was it that made everything sail so smoothly?
I feel really happy. That's 2 poles in the first 2 rounds in ALMS for us. So I got to thank the KCMG team, my teammates. We worked hard coming to this event. We thought it could be our weakest track, considering what we usually try to do to set up the car. But we worked hard on it in practice and got it right for qualifying, and we got a healthy margin. So 4 hours again tomorrow. Hopefully we can replicate the round 1 result in China.
Hopefully. And talking about replicating whatever happened in China, however, the only difference is, I guess, the weather. That's a big difference. A change in strategy.
Yeah, I don't know if it's cold. I think it's hot. No jokes. I think it's the coldest I've ever been. We're going to go with probably a very similar strategy to China. This track's a little bit easier on tyres because the heat is really low and it is quite cold. It looks after things better. But yeah, we'll have a look at it tonight and see what we come out with tomorrow.
All the best tomorrow, and yes, a lot of talk about the weather and tyres. Back up to the commentary box.
Thanks a lot for that, Nadia. Josh Burdon, 25 years old, but really causing a bit of a stir, Graham, here after his win in round 1, and of course now pole here at FUJI in qualifying.
Indeed, coldest I've ever been. The thing that only Australia can say here, really. Tyres are going on both the first Team AI cars. They're playing this very cool indeed, already 5 minutes into the session.
Just about to say, yeah.
Meantime, it's like the only kid in the playground at the moment.
Yeah.
Round and round goes the Audi. Big power slide there coming through Panasonic to finish the lap. It's clearly purple sectors in both. This is the first flyer. Let's have a look at what the marker lap is going to be.
This is going to be the benchmark for the FIS Team AI, and that Ferrari 488 GTB is now leaving the pit lane, as you pointed out just on Friday when we were taking a pit walk. Very interesting line in from the pit lane into that very fast corner, and as you just saw there, of course there was a lot of gap between the Ferrari and the Audi, but you've got to watch yourself coming out of this pit lane.
You do. You've got to keep right over to the right, because the guys are going to be looking for where they can take the best line to hit the apex through that tricky turn 1. Now the key here is going to be, it's a 140 by the way, 140.2 for Massimiliano Visa in the Tianchi Racing Audi, and that is the Ferrari going straight off the circuit.
Oh, that is really
will do for you.
Yeah, and this of course is car first time out.
And that's the point I was about to make. It's Ollie Milroy is no, I don't think it is. It's going to be Marco Ciocci. My apologies, Italian driver and regular for the AF Corsa squad in a range of customer teams. Out comes the BMW 2 to play.
Jesse Krohn at the wheel here for the BMW M6 GT3.
Now our prediction here is that this is going to go very deep into the session indeed. This is a slow warming up lap for both of these cars. We've already seen the first quick lap from the Audi. That's not a competitive lap.
Yeah.
It's a good 2 or 3 seconds down on what we saw in free practice 2. So these cars are going to be getting quicker and quicker as they go. We saw Marco Ciocci just finding there was no grip there. That is just cold tyres.
Yeah.
We also know the first flyer with no other traffic wasn't quick. It's going to take at least 2 laps for these cars to be getting down to anything like a competitive lap time. Let's watch how that one goes.
And if you look at the clock, of course,
it's going to come the number 66 car for a second flying lap. There it goes. It's now 1:39, so that's better. We're going to be seeing how that one pans out in the next few minutes. But Tianchi Racing, they are making good their escape here and just basically laying down a marker for, well, Marco Ciocci and Jesse Krohn in the BMW M6 GT3 2 challenge.
Well, 3 laps now for the Tianchi Racing team, so those tyres probably warming up a little bit more. Still very cold, as you said. This the first laps for both the FIS Team AI entrants. Marco Ciocci, as Graham said, in the Ferrari 488, Jesse Krohn in the BMW M6 GT3. Now, one point we have to make about this GT class is very fast in a straight line, not enough dive planes at the front, a lot of aero, beautiful aero on this Ferrari 488, but going around the corners, as we saw from Marco in the early part, a little bit harder to control.
It's definitely the kind of car that you've usually got one line through some of the kind of the medium spinning quicker corners, and the interesting thing here is when they get onto track with that mixed class racing that I love so much. But here they've got wide open spaces. It is a matter that the better drivers, and we've got 3 of them out there at the moment, can pick their line. 1:39.027 is the mark for Marco Ciocci. He's been pretty quick, by the way, through the first sector, just a couple of tenths off and a tenth off again in the second sector for Marco Ciocci. It's not going to be a pole position lap, this one, but I think you're going to find the fiery Italian, and boy is he fiery, Marco Ciocci, winding himself up here. You're going to start to see the aggression coming into the body language of this car. So at the end of this lap, watch his line through the final turn, and my guess is it's going to be pedal to the metal here, finding all the grip and a little bit where there is none. It's pretty neat and tidy. Fires the car down the start-finish straight now. It's twin-turbo V8. Beautiful, beautiful thing. Great to see these cars, by the way, in something other than Ferrari red.
Well, yes, exactly. I mean, this is Ferrari's flagship car. This car has only really made its competitive debut last year. But then after that, I think it was at the Bathurst 12 Hours, it literally spent the entire 12 hours within the top 5. It is a very, very well-balanced car indeed. And it is the successor, shall we say, to what most motor enthusiasts thought was one of the finest supercars made, the Ferrari 458.
It's not quite got the drama of the soundtrack of the 458, but boy, this thing is nailed. You know, we've seen it in GTE format and GT3 format here, and it is actually the same car. You can take some bits off, you can put some bits on, and you can run them in just about every GT race that exists on the planet. Fabulous, fabulous stuff. We have got purple sectors everywhere. the new...
That's right, Jesse Krohn, BMW, in the BMW, has just been racing around 30.337 in Sector 2, 46.513 in Sector 3, which has led to his last lap of being the fastest so far, 1:38.699.
Okay, it's 3/10 quicker. Jesse Krohn and a couple of quick sectors. It's almost stealthy that. It just appeared out of nowhere. Oh, he's gone provisional pole. Marco Ciocci, meanwhile, goes purple in the first sector, green, which is quickest for that car, in the second sector. This is going to be very close indeed. At the moment, it's just under a second separates the trio.
And it's still Tianchi Racing Team with just 3 laps up, 5 laps competed for them now. FIS Team AI with both their BMW M6 and the Ferrari 488 on their 3rd lap, essentially, coming up. So these tyres are getting warmer, but of course, these have both raced, well, not the Ferrari, but of course the BMW has already had a very good run out in round 1.
And up to pole position, or provisional pole position, so all 3 of them have held that spot because Marco Ciocci just extends the gap just a tiny little bit. It's just 0.05 of a second ahead of the top.
That is close.
Ferrari, so mid-rear engined twin-turbo V8. Ferrari takes the honours at the moment from front-engined BMW twin-turbo V8 M6 and rear-engined, mid-engined 5-litre Audi, and back to the top goes with a big leap forward from Jesse Krohn in this.
That's almost a second. It's over a second.
It is 0.8 of a second. 0.8 of a second up with Jesse Krohn, and you have to say, if you put these 2 cars alongside and didn't fire them up, you'd have to say the Ferrari looks the quicker. Yeah. Don't be deceived. This BMW, it may look a kind of taller car.
Yeah, it's big. It's definitely big.
Boy, that thing has got some ponies.
And of course, the Ferrari 488 GT3 replaces the Mercedes AMG that FIS Team AI ran in round 1. Of course, that was the long bonnet as well. Does that make a difference in terms of Fuji? I know they wanted to run the Ferrari 488 FIS Team AI in round 1. The car wasn't prepared yet. That's why they went with the AMG. But does the Ferrari 488 chassis fit a circuit like Fuji better?
The Ferrari 488, you'd have thought would suit this well. This is going to be pretty evenly matched here. I'm just watching the sector times. Marco Ciocci much quicker in sector 1 than Jesse Krohn, but Jesse Krohn much quicker in sector 2. 1:38.009, so it's under 0.2 of a second now is the gap between the top 2 cars. The Tianchi Racing Team, by the way, have not given this one up either. They're going quicker this time around in sector 1 as well. In fact, quicker than the BMW was last time around. This could be mighty, mighty close. At the moment, it's got a reasonable lead, the BMW with the 3rd placed Audi, but not a lot to spare, and I think that's enough.
Not at all. We're just
BMW is bailing out the session. Marco Ciocci, though, may not be done quite yet.
Just 2 seconds between these 3 cars in the GT class. 1:37.861, 1:38.009, 1:39.050, and that's the 2 FIS Team AIs, the BMW M6 and Ferrari 488, followed by the Audi R8 LMS. Now, don't forget that the FIS Team AI cars, they did almost have a bit of a, shall we say, sojourn in the pit lane before they went out. At least 5 minutes of the qualifying session, they sat. They took very slow laps to warm up those tyres. Tianchi Racing went out almost immediately, have put in 2 more laps, but this FIS Team AI team are really showing their quality again.
It's a team that knows how to run these cars. They've run them all around the world, and they continue to do so, and they know how to play the strategy. They know how to squeeze the best out of these packages. This, though, is a new car for them in race conditions, the 488.
Well, unsurprisingly, we did actually watch that, but that Ferrari 488 is going to be under investigation for abuse of track limits. I think that was, as I said, it wasn't intentional, really.
Well, is this going to be a similar session to that which we saw in the LMP session just a few minutes ago? Marco Ciocci goes around again. This will be, and in fact it has lost that last lap, this will be the final flying lap for this car.
Just to reiterate, when it comes down to qualifying, of course, if track limits have been thought to be abused, and in this case for the Ferrari 488 by Marco Ciocci they have, then that specific lap will be deleted by racing control and any, of course, time with it. So
absolutely. Now, interestingly, Marco Ciocci through the final sector, launching himself down to this lap, was the fastest of all in sector 3. What can he do? He's a 10th down though on his best in sector 1. And I think the Audi has given up this one.
Well, it certainly looks that way.
2 seconds down on the pole position time.
Everybody in the pit lane is just glued to those screens as they watch this Audi R8 LMS make its way round. This is good, but guaranteed going to be the final lap for the GT qualifying. As you can see, the time rapidly running down as you get into the last sector of the course. He's
not going to have time to go around again here, so this is not going to be good enough. I think you're going to see this car bailing out. The guys will be able to see the delta time on the steering wheel. So I think you should see the Audi, it does indeed move to the right. And that's not going to be an improvement either for Marco Ciocci. He's again seen that data. He's seen that he cannot recover the time he's lost in Sector 1. He's off the pace in Sector 2. That is going to be it. He's going to be FIS Team AI 1-2. Jesse Krohn in pole position in the GT class in the BMW M6. Reasonably tight with the team's newer car. Well, that will only get quicker, I'm sure, as the race season goes on.
So 137.861 in the end for the BMW M6 GT3, 138.055 for the Ferrari 488 GT3, and 139.021 for the Audi R8 LMS. And that is going to bring to a close GT qualifying on Saturday.
All good stuff. So 3 cars to the max there. Team still finding out what these packages will do.
And of course, because being qualifying, we still haven't seen the likes of Chaz Mostert, Junsen Chen, Lam Yu, Ollie Milroy. None of them made an appearance. We'll be seeing them, of course, tomorrow on race day.
And, so that brings to a halt the qualifying action for this afternoon. Just to remind you, there'll be live coverage on a range of platforms, broadcast stations as well.
For the first time.
The social media sites for the championship, YouTube and Facebook, and on the series website as well.
It was good to see all those cars at least coming through without incident. Good to see 2 15-minute qualifying sessions for LMP2 and LMP3 on this, well, difficult, should we say, challenging track. The weather held up for a start, and on top of that, a couple of people did make it off the black stuff and really kind of rode a couple of corners. But apart from that, all the team's going to be kind of happy with that.
I said so. Coming out unscathed is the first job. Coming out on pole position is the second job. There could only be 3 winners of that. Interesting to see just exactly what made the difference there for the BMW M6 over the team car, the Ferrari. Well, we're going to get to find out, because Nadia is down there now with new pole position sitter Jesse Krohn from FIS Team AAI.
With the man himself who recorded the fastest lap, Jesse Krohn is here with me. So how do you feel after doing that fantastic lap?
Oh, it's good. Our weekend started with a bit of bad luck, so we missed one practice session completely. So we were sort of 1 step behind our competitors, but we managed to catch up quickly, and I got a good lap in the qualifying.
So you said you missed 1 practice round altogether. So was it just a very good driver behind the wheels?
I would like to believe so, no, but the team gave me a great car, so it's always with a good equipment, it's easy to do a good job.
So pole position, a great way to start tomorrow. How are you looking forward to that? 4 hours.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I know I have strong teammates. I've got the Aussie V8 superstar again, who I share the car with. So I think it's going to be a good race, and we just have to keep ourselves clean and do the job we can do.
Looking forward to tomorrow. Thank you so much, Jesse Krohn, and back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Nadia. And well, it's been a very cold day, but that warmed me up beautifully with 2 15-minute sessions where there was plenty of action to watch and plenty of action to talk about. And the LMP first, and now the GT session.
Let's have a little look back.
With in these cold conditions, it was the LMP cars out first, with the Team BBT car the first to move, and that would prove to be significant.
Basically, under the guidance of
6:05, getting close to the Japanese racing car, then the 8 car showed with Thomas Laurent, and the 18 of Josh Burdon putting down the times to be challenged by anybody else in LMP2 and LMP3. Pipo Durrani took up the challenge and ran with it, and that would prove to be significant later. Jasmine Jafar making a great debut in the Asia Le Mans Series in the LMP2 number 7 car. Algarve Pros 25. But at the end of the session, and it was the very, very end of the session, with the Jackie Chan DC Racing cars on pit lane and responding late to the apparent challenge, it was all about the Brazilian racer Pipo Durrani. A blistering run from him in his very final lap of the session. Clock had run down and he snatched it. Wonderful stuff. That's what it meant to that team. Great to see the emotion of the team. Then we got into GT qualifying. The well, Samurai sword was thrown down by the Tianxi Racing team, but unfortunately for them, the FIS Team AI launched a pair of Exocet missiles in response. The Ferrari of Marco Giocci and the very different looking BMW M6 of Jesse Krohn. Josh Burdon, by the way, in the KCMG car did take that pole position, couldn't be challenged. Tianxi Racing, it was eventually though Jesse Krohn that took the pole position for FIS Team AAI. Brilliant display from that team.
Well, that was really absolutely fantastic. Great qualifying session for all three classes and some very fast times. And as you said, Graham, it has come down to the wire, both for LMP2 and in the GT class as well. And a fantastic performance from Josh Burdon we got to hear from.
Absolutely. And I think what this shows is really competitive right down through the field in all three classes. Sets up something potentially really special. You know what? Weather conditions, changeable weather conditions, just show us something different from these cars, and it will mean a different sort of action, particularly in the early start of the race and particularly in the early start of every time these guys have to change the tyres.
Well, that is going to be a fantastic race tomorrow for sure, and Graham and myself will be in the commentary box for all of it. Right now, it's back to Nadia.
Thank you very much, Jeevan and Graham. So this is it from the qualifying sessions. All the best to the pole sitters tomorrow and all to the other races as well. And it's going to be a great race day tomorrow. And I'm sure you guys don't want to miss out on that. So make sure you catch us live. Full coverage will be on facebook.com/AsianLMS. Also on the official website, www.asianlemonseries.com. And also on motorsport.tv, Motor Trend on demand. Now, if you want Chinese commentary, it'll be also live on Tencent Network. And since we are in Fuji, Japan, you can catch it live on J Sports. So that is it from us here at Fuji International Speedway. I will catch you tomorrow for 4 hours of Fuji. Till then, goodbye.